We're celebrating vegan fashion and this collaboration, which is so dear to us. Clothesline has been cruelty-free since we opened our doors. Our owners have over 20 years of experience manufacturing vegan materials and vegan outerwear specifically. We're very well known for our vegan leather. It stays soft and supple, as everyone knows. We also do puffers, vegan suede, vegan wool, faux shearling, you name it, we manufacture it. And this collaboration, it was just a perfect fit, and we're so honored to be working with the largest animal rights organization in the world. We co-designed. They do so much, and we have been PETA approved for a couple years now, and our retailers really speak to the message and really speak to what it does to their brand as well, because we do only wholesale, so we felt like it was our responsibility to educate our retailers so that they can then educate the end consumer and the masses. And that's why we're all here today, is to get the communication started so that we can better the fashion industry. And it was just a perfect fit, so I'm really excited that you guys are here today, and we're going to learn a lot about vegan fashion, why it's important. I'm talking a lot today. Why it's important and how we'll better the industry. So let's get started and let's introduce our panelists for this evening. Christine, you want to start it off?
Hi everyone, I'm Christina Sewell. I am the Assistant Manager of Clothing Campaigns at PETA. I've been there for the past 4 years. And what we work on in the campaigns division for animals used for clothing issues is we're looking at every industry that exploits animals for fashion. So whether that's animals used for fur, for leather, exotic skins, wool, down, anywhere where animals are suffering for long periods of time for clothing, we seek to shed a light on that abuse in the breeding and killing of over 1 million animals, or excuse me, over 1 billion animals every year in this overall global fashion industry. And we want to raise awareness about what's happening. So we take those investigations that we've been doing for the past 30 years, and we're focusing way more on animals used for clothing issues in more recent years. Sharing that with the end consumer, and also working behind the scenes with companies, encouraging them to incorporate more vegan materials into their collections, and educating them about why vegan materials can be not only better for animals because they take out the suffering, but why they can be more sustainable and better for humans too. I'm really excited to be here today and also be collaborating with both of you. Thanks for having me.
Hi everyone. Hi, I'm Daniela Monet. I'm so lucky to be here thanks to PETA. I've had a really amazing relationship with them since I was a little kid, and I've been vegan for maybe 16 years now, and the transition into being 100% like vegan in all aspects in terms of fashion and stuff like that, that's all sort of happened in increments because there hasn't been as many options as there are today, fortunately. So I'm overly excited to collaborate with you guys and help push the message along, because this is such an easy way to be cruelty-free without having to change all these different avenues of your life. The fashion industry is so enormous, and to take these steps is a really great step in the right direction. So I'm going to use my voice to help do that. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Emmanuelle Rienda. I'm French. I'm here today because I'm a vegan stylist, and I also represent fashion designers in the industry. And I decided since a year to really focus on vegan fashion and to spread a message and awareness in this field in Los Angeles. I would like to thank PETA and Coalition LA for inviting me today, because this message is really important to me. I believe the fashion industry needs to change from its core. The sustainable fashion also needs to understand that vegan fashion is really important, and we need to really be strong about not using any animal product in the sustainable industry. We need to work hand in hand together to really try to spread awareness on the fact that it's not sustainable. anymore. This is my real message now, and that's what I'm trying to do in Los Angeles.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and I'm the founder of Galerie.la, and we're a ethical concept shop, and we're open at Row, downtown Los Angeles. Plug. I curate all women's sustainable clothing. Everything is ethically made. Our brands guarantee us that, and then on top of that, a lot of them use eco-friendly materials. We have two of the brands here, founders, and work with artisans. They use vegan materials, recycled materials. So we just like to give people other options. And we say you can shop your values, because as you mentioned, it's kind of hard to take on sustainability and let that affect not only your life, what you're eating, but also what you're putting on your body, so that you could just come into one store and you know everything is good, basically.
I want to jump onto that because it's also that people know that vegan fashion hits the trends, and the trends can be even crafted with care, and it can be fashion forward. Like this, we created this jacket, we co-designed this jacket. It's not ugly, it's a classic moto jacket. I could throw it on over anything, and not one animal has been hurt creating this jacket, and that is why we're here today, and that's what this panel is here today. So we'll start it off, and we'll talk about the importance of vegan fashion and what it means to each panelist. So Daniela, you said that you started being vegan in middle school and over 16 years ago. So how have you seen vegan fashion evolve since you became vegan?
It's evolved quite a bit. I think everything I wore was sort of accidentally vegan when I started that awareness process. But now brands are actually on that same train, and they're wanting to focus and market their clothes as being vegan, which is a huge difference. I kind of had to seek out, I don't wear leather, I don't wear fur, that sort of thing, and make sure that I did the research. Now I find that it's so much easier to just find brands that are in support of the cause, and that's like a huge evolution. And I feel like it's happened obviously gradually, but even more so in the more recent years. And it's cool to see that come to fruition, because for so long, and my whole thing about being vegan and living a cruelty-free lifestyle is taking the guesswork out of it and making it super accessible for people, because I think that's their first complaint is, but how, why and how do I make this easy, and how do I make it seamless? No pun intended. But yeah, there's been a lot of evolution, and it's so awesome to see so much change, and so many people come together on this topic. I think fashion is everyone can relate to it. A lot of us obviously have to wear clothes, a lot of us, and I think like if you can just get behind the message, what you wear and what you consume, and being a conscious consumer can be something everyone can relate on.
One of our core values is really just awareness, because we use the PETA approved logo in almost all our marketing material. We really want to be transparent with our retailers, since we do wholesale, so that they can be transparent to the end consumer. And they do ask a lot of questions. I have people, what does this mean? Like, how can I educate myself? And I think that is the most important thing, and that you do see it more often, and I think that's really important.
I think just a few years ago too, it was like vegan fashion, the term vegan fashion wasn't really known. I still don't think buzzwords now are like ethical fashion, sustainable fashion. Vegan fashion is part of that movement, but I still think we're all kind of educating ourselves more on like what vegan fashion is. But what's really, just to add to that, is that in recent years you've seen companies, big companies like Urban Outfitters, Free People, they're not necessarily vegan through their whole supply chain, but they've added like vegan tabs on their website, so that it's becoming way more accessible for people. They realize like people are looking for this stuff. Through their newsletters, they're pushing out, this is vegan, our new summer collection, all vegan. It's like really exciting that we're living in this time right now where that is the dialogue, that's the conversation that these big companies want to have. And so they're taking steps in that direction, which is really cool.
eventually it would be more accessible and it'd be in all stores and just like a capsule in each store would be
Yeah,
so important.
that'd be
It'd
amazing.
just part of the fashion industry in general, because the fashion industry is not leaving. It's going to stay for a while. So as long as we can have a foot in the door, it's a great thing. So
Unless we all become nudists.
Listen, it sounds a hell of a lot easier sometimes.
keep your clothes on, everyone. Deshelle, so you actually own an eco-conscious retail store boutique. So why is the vegan badge a key component of the Galerie.la sustainable value system?
Yes, I think the same thing. I was realizing that people were looking for vegan options. I worked with Claire B while I was launching Galerie.la as a retail development, and saw people all the time that were like, I'm vegan, but they were buying leather handbags. This doesn't really make sense to me, and at the time I wasn't vegan. But I just knew that people were looking for it, and they were like, well, if we could find cool bags that I actually wanted to wear, then they would buy them. And so we created that badge so it could just be as easily as someone that's vegan or wanting to shop that way to click on a button and get every option that was vegan presented to them, so they didn't have to go and spend hours searching for the brands.
Because people are asking for it,
Yes.
right? They want it. They want to see
I
it.
think
in
more
stores.
people are becoming vegan and realizing that in their food habits and putting in their body, but it doesn't translate into what you wear or what products you use on your skin. I think all those components are very much tied together.
Are you finding that there's an increase of people who are choosing that vegan badge, who are like searching for vegan items?
I wouldn't say that there's an increase yet. Most people are kind of exploring them and just I think basically shopping what they love. That is what's key. And then coming into Galerie.la as a space, people are always intrigued about like this, oh, this is vegan, this is a different like pineapple leather or different materials that are being used. And I think that they didn't even know it existed, so they're more open to buying that way and just finding something that's new and innovative as well.
Yeah, because people want a story that they can then put on social media and have people talk about, right? Well, let's talk about the argument side, the other side of it. So, Christina, what would you say to people who argue that fur, leather, or wool is better for the environment than their non-animal derived?
Who are these people?
They're not here.
I think, like, you know, just how we were talking about before, the buzzwords right now are sustainable fashion, ethical fashion, fair fashion. With the whole Rana Plaza destruction of that building in 2013, I think it was, in Bangladesh, it was like, wow, we really took a step back and realized that we need to change the way that this supply chain is set up. We need to change these procedures. And so people right now are very interested in like how to do better by people and how to make it more fair. But I think vegan fashion is just like the next piece to that we're just exploring more. And as you know, when it comes to sustainability of these materials, what I'm so glad for is that now we don't, our argument doesn't solely rely on it's cruel to animals. They're killing billions of animals every year. It's true, and that is a huge argument in itself, but we're seeing more independent studies that are coming out now, like the recent one from the Pulse of the Fashion Industry Report by Boston Consulting Group and another nonprofit organization. And also Kering came out with their own report where they were taking a mirror to themselves. This luxury conglomerate group that said, you know what, leather and wool and cashmere and silk, these are devastating to the environment. We're doing this. We are responsible for this. They're the most damaging materials that are out there. We need to look into vegan innovations that can take the place of this stuff. So now we're able to rely back on this data and say, okay, people are starting to recognize with the land use, with the water use, the feed that could go, you know, not to the animals, but to people who need it. All these issues are intertwined. It's not just an animal rights issue or a human rights issue. It's together. They're holding hands, you know, like we need to improve both in order to get better all around. And I think this is a conversation that's starting to happen, and that's really exciting. So that's kind of just the dialogue that I would have with people who are clinging to their leather, because, I mean, not to get too specific, but in that Kering report, they also said 93% of the environmental impact that's coming from leather happens before it even gets to the tannery. So that destruction that's happening is from killing and raising and feeding and processing billions of animals every year. And then you have like the tiny, the tannery process, which is like the 7% of the environmental degradation. But when people say, oh, it's green, it's like, it's vegetable diet and stuff like that, that is one part of getting better. That's like one step in the right direction. But we need to take a look at like the big picture. And I think we're starting to do that, which is, it's great.
What other issues are going to come up? What other issues do we really need to say? It's all of them.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, the importance of vegan fashion and what it does to the environment and what it does for health even, or just fashion forward trends. But it's also a step to living it and taking it into your personal life or your work life. So Emmanuel, how did you make the transition from being a fashion stylist in France, working with every animal-derived brand and high fashion brand, to now doing so much for the vegan fashion world?
Yes, so working in France with all the designers, I did styling for a long time, but I also was representing French designers. So I've been looking very closely about the wholesale system and, the way that big department store, they were really pressuring all the small designers into producing things that were very actually negative for the environment, because they were produced mainly in China because of the huge discount they were asking for the designers. So there is, that's why I love galerie.la, and small business like this that we need to support, because this is these people that are actually supporting the new designers and the new vision of the future, which is vegan and cruelty-free. This is always, these experiences in the fashion world that really switch my vision and help me to really develop this, this vision for the fashion industry. I believe that we really need to become cruelty-free. This is the future. I really believe that luxury is cruelty-free now. Smart fashion, ethical fashion, vegan fashion, this is where we need to look at. That's why when I do styling, I really try to find alternatives that are animal-free, cruelty-free. I really try to create events where we really gather all the different system of fashion, sustainable, ethical, vegan, all together to really bring awareness and really try to bring the future at our door already.
Because that's what we need more of, is dialogue. We just need to like talk to each other.
Yeah, we need to all come together and understand all the different issues in the world right now that are all connected. And we really need to all work together into implementing this message for the future generations, because we have only one planet. And right now everything we're doing is actually not enough. There is so much disconnection, so much, even speciesism, even in the fashion industry, where we believe that everybody agree here, I'm sure, that fur is totally something of the past, right? But why is liver still in the mainstream? Why everybody is still wearing like skin of animals on a daily basis? There's just no hair on it, but this is the same thing. We are wearing the skin of an animal, and a lot of people are saying this is a byproduct, but this is not true anymore. There is actual factories that kill cows just for their skin all the time. So this is a really strong subject, and I believe we need to really focus on what is the real message. Are we speciesists still? Do we still not understand that a cow is as important than an animal with fur? Why? This is really basic questions like this that are helping me to pursue this mission, and to really try to connect more dots in the fashion industry.
I absolutely love what you're doing, that you're styling, like with vegan fashion products.
Thank you.
Amazing, honestly.
I was going to just piggyback on that because you touched on how we don't do enough.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that I found, and it's very grassroots thinking, but like for instance, today I was scrolling through Instagram and I think I followed the Chalkboard magazine or whatever, some sort of account that kind of has like some cool vegan stuff that they post. And today they posted about a new shoe company, and they were highlighting how ethical it was. And so I got excited. I thought the shoes were cool. I clicked on the account. I tried to get a grasp on what kind of shoes they were making. I watched like their little highlights for their vision. It never really specified that they were using leather, but they went into the whole vegetable dye thing. So I wrote them a message, and I kind of thought like, if we don't do our part to confront these people head on, here they are trying to market to what I believe is our audience, the people who are conscious thinkers and who thrive on ethical purchases. And here they are using these buzzwords, but not mentioning the biggest piece of it all. And so, I just think when you say we don't do enough, even though that's so small, and maybe they'll see it, maybe they won't, it's really just those conversations and starting those conversations that could have an impact. And not saying anything at all is where we lack. And so, I don't know, I just wanted to touch on that. Like,
that makes sense.
You can make a difference.
Every day you can make your part in this process. Just choose vegan everywhere you go. What you eat, what you wear, what you put on your skin. Try to spread awareness just on a daily basis. This is things. I mean, the world is changing. This is where we need to be. We need to be in the future already. I do believe that we're not going to use any more animal product probably in 30 years from now. It's not going to happen overnight, but I believe we have to, just because we have only one planet and we're killing it. So, I mean, there's no option than to just stop.
Because look at right here, you have a retail store, and you're talking about vegan fashion, and you're letting people know about vegan fashion and what's out there. You have a stylist who's styling multiple people and working with multiple publications on a daily basis, and you're getting this conversation started. You have Daniela, who's an actress, who's going on these shows and speaking her truth on her social media account to her audience, and then you have PETA, who's working with these top brands to get them aside. It's starting. We just have to continue it and make sure others, piggyback and raise the conversation as well. And I think that's amazing. Daniela, I'll ask you a question. How do you combine your professional experience on set with your passion for animal rights, and how do you recommend others to do the same? So how do you recommend others to be speaking there?
I think because I use my voice enough, and I'm proud of who I am and what I believe in and what I stand for, that's sort of trickled down in a sense that, like, when I go to a job or I'm on set or whatever, I feel this community around me. Like, I find people will come up to me like, oh, hey, just thought I should let you know I found this cool vegan restaurant or recipe, or, and it's just being that person, just living your truth, starts this interesting conversation around you. I've noticed in my family, I've noticed in my friends, I don't really have to do as much, and you don't have to be pushy, you don't have to. There's different approaches for everyone, but for me, I find that just living my truth and being 100% behind everything that I feel and say has had an effect, and it's just something that I can barely explain. And obviously working in this industry, you sometimes don't get to choose what you wear and this and that. That's a non-negotiable for me, and that hasn't been an issue, and everyone's been really amazing about catering to, what I believe is the right thing to do. So that's been cool, and I'm sure that just that alone has helped them to think differently or see differently, and it's a
Opens doors.
Yeah,
Which
really
opens
does.
doors. Which opens
It really
doors.
does, yeah.
I love that. Let's talk a little about what PETA does and what you do for it. So in the past year, there has been a string of luxury companies that banned fur after appeals, PETA's appeals, even entire cities like San Francisco, which is amazing. How does PETA structure these campaigns in order to win victories for animal abuse in the fashion industry?
Yeah. I mean, we have had a string of victories the past 6 months to 9 months, I think, where Gucci, I believe, started the trend, and they came out and said, we realize after decades of using it and decades of pressure from PETA, okay, you got us, it's not sustainable, it's not kind. We are finally hearing from our consumers that faux fur is an option for them, and that's fine. So we're gonna take it out, we're gonna ban it. And once they did that, then it was Michael Kors, then it was Versace, then it was the Couples, Maison Margiela. It was just like one after the other after that. All of these luxury brands said, okay, we'll do it too. So that's really exciting right now. This is just one piece of it though. You know, we had our mohair investigation. Now nearly 300 brands, global brands, like the biggest brands in the world have banned mohair from Angora goats in South Africa, where they come from mainly. Tesla has dropped leather. They are now fully on board with using only vegan leather in their vehicles. And they're at the top of their game. So I feel like anything that they do is gonna trickle down to all of these other auto companies. So it's just, the movement is growing so much. And I mean, that's not just because of PETA. I mean, we are sharing the information that we found behind the scenes, but everything that we put out there, you know, on our social media channels too, hopefully you guys are following PETA or following some other animal rights groups, but you know, that is so powerful in sharing information and just, you know, keeping the word going. Our social media team told me recently that about 5 years ago, we got 1 million views on all of our videos across all of our platforms. And today, we can easily get that in like one day. You know, so that's just going to show how social media is changing the landscape of communication and information sharing. When you see things that bother you, that like hit you, like, oh, I can't believe that happens. This isn't right. I need to share this. That's activism in itself. You know, just being in a chair, you can be such a strong activist. Just clicking a button and sharing information. But how we set up our campaigns, you know, we have our protests, we have our educational awareness things, like events like these, collaborations with other brands that are like-minded. But we're also, you know, very hard on pushing companies. Like after we've shown them all of the investigative footage that is within their supply chain, this is what you're supporting right now, this is how you need to change. And once we feel like, okay, we've taken to the point of this is beyond, they're no longer listening, then we post an action alert, a petition, and we get all of, you know, our wonderful, you know, millions of followers to take action and really not be mean, but say, hey, we care about this. Like, we know you guys want to do good. You know, we know that you guys care about what we're purchasing. We want you to know we want other options, and that's where the power comes in. So it's kind of twofold. It's behind the scenes with the companies, and then also educating consumers and making sure that they're speaking up about their truth.
And asking the questions like Daniela did.
Yes, absolutely.
That's good. Daniela, how do you convince people to wear vegan without overwhelming them with cruelty facts?
I used to say it was cheaper. I used to say, it's cheaper to wear vegan clothing. Then I retracted that message when I learned more about the fashion industry. And now I say it's smarter. It's smarter. It's so much smarter in so many ways. It's such a quick way to get to someone's heart because you're not asking them to change, you know, the way they eat necessarily. You're asking them, like, listen, do I dress like shit? Usually they're like, no, you look okay. I mean, let's be real. It's a communal thing. If you just say this is a vegan outfit and someone's into it, like it's a simple choice. It takes so little to make that adjustment. It's just the awareness behind what choices they're making that sort of enlightens that way of thinking. And people don't know. People don't know enough. And I like to gently push messages, and I think on some of my platforms, I take a different approach and I'm a little more aggressive, and then some I know that it's more of a gentle approach. But I think the reality of it, whether you're gentle or harsh or whatever, the reality of the truth is the truth. And people can get behind that. It's just having that dialogue. People are humans and they want to make smart choices. And I think you don't have to be harsh about it, and I don't think I am. I think it just becomes a gradual thing that gets instilled in someone's brain, and then they no longer want to make the choices against that way of thought, you know? And I've seen a really good track history with that, you know? As simple as someone saying, the handbag thing for me. I don't know why this just came into my mind, but I was just at a wedding and I felt like someone was talking about their handbags. And, you know, I've been vegan for so long and I have such strong core values. It's really hard for me to keep my mouth shut these days. Really hard. And so I have like small conversations that allude to the fact that like that's absolutely not in my wheelhouse and I don't support that. And people will ask me oftentimes like, why don't you carry a nice fancy, or do you have a whatever the frick they are, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all this stuff? Like, no, like I just don't, because it's just not how I think and it's not what I believe is the right choice. But I have this beautiful bag that I love and it means so much more than, you know, spending $1 gazillion on something that literally is pain on your arm. Like, I just can't get behind that. And so when people hear that, I don't mean for them to feel bad, because I think your instant reaction is, oh shit, like I'm offending someone, or this is weird, I don't know why I'm thinking like this now, and I just spent literally my whole month's savings or more on a stupid bag that really does a lot of harm, and a lot of people aren't even behind that sort of thing. Like, it's just having those thoughts trigger a new thought. And so that's my goal, is just finding ways to get through to people in a way that's gentle, but yet they do the choices. They make the decision to do something different about it, you know, because you can't force anyone into anything.
Because some people really just don't know where to shop, how to do it.
And it's so ego-driven, and it's so about meeting an image and a stigma and following fast fashions, and not enough about being conscious about where you're consuming and how you're spending your dollars. Like, we work so damn hard for these dollars. Like, why not put it towards someone who's in line with the same way of thinking, or who cares about values and ethics and all these other buzzwords? Like, why not?
Yeah.
Sorry, I get a little...
Why not shop the values? And that's definitely why we partnered with PETA, because we value ethical fashion, we value vegan materials. To as a brand, partner with such a huge organization, and then retailers, trickle effect, are partnering with the collaboration. And the trickle effect, then consumer is learning about the collaboration and learning about vegan fashion. So then when they see a store like the Shell store and they see the vegan tab right there, they're going to look at it, and then they're going to find other vegan brands like some of you here today. And it's just an amazing conversation. And I think if we could find just a balance of how to market it, I think it could be so powerful. Because I have friends who are vegan who they'll go at you with all the facts, and I'm not that way. I stick to the issues, stick to the values, kind of more of like a heart-to-heart, and just finding that balance and finding the way that you can communicate it. I think that's an amazing thing, and I think you found that.
Yes, wonderful. And I think it's important too to recognize there was a time probably in everyone's life at some point, everyone who's sitting here today, that you weren't vegan, or that you didn't really care because you didn't know about these issues, you know? And you can't do better until you know better. And so I think it's humbling just to remember I wasn't always here in the way that I'm thinking about this issue. So just like how you were saying, Daniela, I also take that. I may work for PETA, but I take a very, in my personal life, gentle approach with people, and that I'm not telling you this, that, and the other, this is what we found, this is what we're doing, you know, you should know about this and that. It's not about you, what you should know. It's about, this is how I felt when I learned this information. This is how I decided that I want to live my life, because this is important to me because of XYZ reasons. And when they hear it from a point of view like, oh, this girl has changed the way she does things and lives her life because these are issues that are important to her and this is why they're important, then they're inspired. They're inspired by how you live your life. And that's why you don't have to say a word, because they're looking at you, they're like, wow, this girl is so happy and so fulfilled in her life. I want to be more like that. I want to feel like that. And so that's activism in itself.
And eventually it will be easier for people to buy these brands if we start communicating. And us as humans, we want things to be easy. We want to buy things in the click of a button. We want to see a vegan jacket right in front of us so we can buy it, and eventually that will happen in the fashion industry. But Deshelle, I want to know, how does supporting vegan brands amplify the sustainable fashion movement? Because you support so many brands in your boutique. I think it's wonderful.
Well, I think you said, like, vegan fashion is just a component of the big sustainability, but I think that so many people are vegan in the way that they choose to eat that Sustainable fashion is just this small microcosm of the bigger fashion industries of all the vegan people start to buy like sustainable fashion, and even just have a small switch in the way that they choose to buy things. That's how we create bigger changes. And I kind of always say follow the dollar. If you start to spend your dollars with companies that are vegan or sustainable, the bigger brands are going to be like, oh, well, they're not spending their dollars with us, so they're going to start to adopt the practices. And that's really the way that we can just grow sustainable fashion and vegan fashion for even people knowing that it's more than just vegan being written on a t-shirt to say this is what I am, but then to go and be like, oh, well, I'm using different types of materials, and just being able to explain to people where their clothes come from. So I think just starting small with just being like a vegan can just definitely help to grow sustainable fashion in general, and that's what we're all striving towards, the sustainable fashion industry.
I totally agree. Well said, definitely. Emmanuel, what is most exciting to you about the vegan fashion landscape moving forward? Can you tell us what you're working on right now? What's in your future and your production?
Yes, so actually I'm very excited because I can see there is a lot of interest now that I actually do only vegan styling. I can see that a lot of people are actually attracted to this new thing, and they want to be cruelty-free. They want to wear things that are not animal sourced anymore. An example which is really amazing to me is that there is little Disney stars, they're 15, and they contact me and they have this vision for the future, and they already want to wear animal-free outfits. So it has been happening several times now that these little girls, they're 15, and they already are so out there, you know, and that's beautiful. You know, I love that the new generation is really setting the tone, and I can see it's really happening. I get a lot of calls from Disney over and over again to keep dressing these kids. So now, thanks to them, bigger giants like Disney are already seeing the picture for the future. So that's beautiful, and I love it. And I'm working more and more with big magazines, and I can see that the fashion industry is picking up very fast. There is a real thing going on. It's really great. So yeah, I'm passionate about that. And I really adore also that people like, you know, all of you today, you know, you're all interested. This room is full. You know, this would have not happened maybe 5 years ago. Like maybe 2 people would be here. You know? Yes, that's beautiful, and the designers are already working so hard, you know, to bring these leather jackets that are, you know, something we should all have in our wardrobe, to be so easily accessible and vegan. That's amazing. So yeah, there is a real boom. It's happening right now, and I feel it. You were asking about what's coming up as events, or yeah.
What do you have in the works?
Yes, so beside my styling work, obviously you noticed I'm an activist. I like to talk about things and like do other things. Yeah, so it's very, very important to me. So my activism within the fashion industry is really to try to connect the dots between the fashion entities like Fashion Revolution, the California Market Center, PETA, you know, trying to really create events that are very powerful and that are going to showcase our common message. So the next event I'm doing is the LA Textile Show. You know, I'm going to have a booth there, like a 2,000 square feet booth, in collaboration with Fashion Revolution and the California Market Center and PETA. And we're going to showcase material and textile alternatives at the source to the designers before they actually come to buy their, you know, their fabric to create their first samples. We want to be there and we want to have this discussion. We want to try to present alternatives, educate, really there before collections are created. So that's a huge thing for me. I'm very, very excited about that because this is the first time it's happening that we will have this opportunity to be so big in such an event like this and have this strong conversation. So that's exciting and we're working on it right now. There is also a very big step which is Vegan Fashion Week. that we are developing and working on right now. So there is a lot of things going on. And we are planning on Vegan Fashion Week to happen the first week of February 2019. And we really want to showcase a high fashion vegan, high vegan fashion. We want to showcase that you can wear things that are amazing, that you can be as stylish as anybody out there. You know, we want to really work on that vision of the future and of that smart fashion that is cruelty-free. You know, so that's very, very big, and two projects that I'm very excited about. Yeah.
That is very exciting, and thank you all the panelists for speaking. When we first started Coalition-LA, it was this idea to bring individuals the opportunity to express themselves through cruelty-free fashion, and we really dedicate our seasons year after year to bring in new premium materials that will hit the trends and with care without hurting animals or hurting the environment or hitting these issues and changing the fashion industry for the better. And like we said, it's here to stay, so why not start now? And we're spreading the message, and all of you, I want to thank all of you for coming today. Thank you so much. I just want to give you guys a round. It's just so powerful because every point we made today, it really starts with events. It starts with the communication, and I really thank all of you guys for coming, and I know that you guys will go home and talk about it and spread the message even more. And we have the jacket here today if you guys want to leave on a special event price. $56, usually $70 if you guys want it, and I know you guys are passionate, and we'll take it home with you and spread the message even more. And I'm going to open the floor up for anyone who wants to ask a question to the panelists. Yes, okay. Okay.
Hi, so I'm a plastic-free advocate, and I've been plastic-free for 2.5 years. And something that I've been noticing in this vegan movement that's great, and I love it completely. But a lot of companies are greenwashing their companies as being sustainable, but still using and intertwining plastic threads into their clothing, and still advertising it as vegan and eco-friendly and sustainable, which it's not. Because when you wash these microfibers go into the ocean, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So my question is, how do you guys kind of differentiate between vegan and completely cruelty-free and environmental and completely sustainable from vegan to still incorporating plastic into the clothing?
Such a good question.
Yeah.
It's a tough one for sure. You know, what we're trying to do more at PETA is push not only non-animal derived fabrics, but ones that are sustainable and good for the environment and not shedding these microplastics. So that's a conversation that we're just starting to have, is that we need to support materials that are not also hurting the oceans in that way, you know, and getting caught and, you know, like sea life's throats and like harming, you know, that biodiversity there. So that's definitely something to take into consideration for sure. And I think more studies need to be done on exactly what the effects of that microplastic shedding is. But, you know, as an animal rights organization, we're looking right now into, you know, these farms and ranches and slaughterhouses where we can clearly see that there is animal abuse ongoing. So when we do push other alternatives, we definitely make sure that we're getting like the biodegradable fabrics up there, like the Piñatex, the cork leather and the recycled polyurethane, things like that. Like use these, like these are great and they're earth friendly too. And not so much pushing like the PVC and stuff like that.
Sure.
Of course it is non-animal derived, but we're not saying like it's completely ethical.
Very counterproductive.
For sure, absolutely. And thank you for the question.
Yeah. There's no set language right now about what exactly is ethical, what is eco-friendly. At Galerie.la, we just try to be transparent and let you know, well, this is what is in the clothes, this is what it's made from, these are the materials, this is where it was made out of, this is where their factory is. But I think if more people start to ask the questions, then designers will start to use different things and they really build that demand. So just by you asking the question, you might have even like said on someone else's brand, like, oh, I didn't even know about that. So
I
just have the
completely agree.
conversation going
It's
to
so,
designers.
yeah, sorry. I I was just gonna say, it's so, it always comes back to supply and demand. Like, if we are only purchasing like sustainable, ethical, environmentally conscious products, then there will be a feeling that these companies will feel, and they'll hurt, and they'll feel like and it's such a huge message. Like, we know that these buzzwords attract consumers, and they are obviously something that companies are trying to get behind because that's where the money is, but it really comes back down to, like, you know, being that true consumer. And congratulations for being plastic free. That's friggin' amazing.
And I believe this is why we need to start the conversation between the sustainable ethical movement and the vegan fashion, and all these entities need to come together to have this strong message together. Also, I know designers that recycle plastic.
Yes, like
So,
regenerated.
yes, so that's a way of being sustainable, because we have so many plastic out there everywhere that instead of having it in the water, we should maybe recycle and bury it, you know, and have this piece that stays on us for years, you know. So it's actually a way of trying to fix that problem.
Yeah, thank you for that question.
Yeah, I have a quick hi, Bianca with Conscious Living TV. Thank you all. Thank you for being here during this wonderful event. Designs are beautiful. I just have a question, I think just as an advocate for consciousness and as a vegan and as a vegan ethical fashion advocate, the argument of speciesism, you know, and really, you know, maybe it's my legal training, really thinking of, you know, where are we in terms of the argument of just like we as human beings and sort of our superiority complex. You know, we do it with humans too, but our superiority complex with animals, and that animals are here for our use, and where are we in terms of that argument? Where are we in terms of legal action happening to make this not a human rights issue, but a species rights issue? I'm just curious, like, what's developing in that arena?
Wow, yeah, that is a little bit above my pay grade, but I mean, we have, you know, a very large legal team that is working on these issues all the time, trying to gain person rights for these animals. And so you may have heard about PETA's case recently with Naruto, the monkey who took a photo of himself with the photographer's camera. And so a lot of people reached out to me, my friends, like, why is PETA making a big deal about this monkey who took a photo of himself, saying that, you know, the monkey owns the rights to this photo? I mean, it's clearly the photographer's camera. And what we came back and said is like, yes, but the monkey had the wherewithal to pick up the camera, look at it, be confused, and be kind of like, oh, this is fun, and take the photo and smile into the camera. So we're trying to start conversations right now with personhood of animals and their rights, and so we have a large legal team that is working day in and out on those issues. I mean, I know that there are a lot of like law schools who are now starting divisions of their law schools for animal rights and fighting on behalf of animal rights. So
There's a book recently written, I can't remember, the guy that made an entire argument. I can't remember the name of it, but yes, no one's mad at me either, but okay. It's happening. So.
it's happening. Yeah, and it's kind of like what Emmanuel was talking about before. Is like we're starting to shift our consciousness. Is like, yes, at first fur is really bad. We kind of have that image in our mind that like no one needs to wear fur, but now it's translating into, well, I guess we don't really need to wear leather either. We don't need to use these other materials that are derived from other animals. It doesn't matter if they're furry or not, or super cute and cuddly or not. Animals have inherent rights, a right to life, and it's just beyond strange that we're breeding them just to kill them a few months later, to use them for fast fashion, and you know, just putting a stamp on their head. This is your deadline as soon as they're bred, and I think that's changing.
There's the argument that they're sentient beings.
Yes.
Is that what makes a person a person? I mean, just
what makes an animal
personhood,
have that personhood is that they're sentient, is that they can feel, yes, they have like a central nervous system, that they can feel pain. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, well that wraps up. No one? Last minute? No. Okay, well that wraps up the panel. Thank you to all our panelists. If you guys want to ask any questions down below, personal after the panel, feel free to stick around. We probably have coconut water left. If we do, maybe. Thank you to our sponsors. I want to thank Kula for giving you guys sunscreen, Beat by Beat, who gave you guys pins, stickers, and a gift card, Vegan Scene, amazing retailer in Santa Monica, who gave you a gift card. And I just want to thank everyone for coming. Thank you, PETA, and have a great rest of your day.